Greetings, gamers. I'm Mark.
And I'm Manuel.
And welcome to Tabletop Throwdown. Manuel, we're back. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. I'm really excited today because we're going to be covering something that is near and dear to my heart in terms of games. So I'm pretty excited about today's episode.
Yep, new episode, new game as always. Take it away.
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about a game that just dropped on the market a couple of months ago called Space Marine Adventures Tyranid Attack. This is part of a series of games called Space Marine Adventures, and they're subtitled for each entry. That goes back all the way to 2018. We'll be talking about those in just a moment. But let's talk a little bit about what Space Marine Adventures is. Space Marine Adventures games are light tabletop board games, what sometimes are referred to as beer and pretzels kinds of games that you just play around the kitchen tables with friends and family. They are light, quick to set up, quick to play, usually very short, 20 to 30 minute play time, very typical. So very quick and easy to get into. What they are not is really heavy and deep. There's not a lot of rules, there's not a lot of lore. You get a little bit of fluff in the manuals, but in the booklets, but not a lot of deep dive into the lore. You don't have to know much of anything about Warhammer 40K to enjoy these games. So they make a really nice intro to partners, to family, to friends that might not normally play Warhammer, but they might play this because this is quick and simple and easy and fast. That's a big point. They're pretty fast to play.
Is there even like a paragraph about Tyranids or anything in the box, or is it really kind of just pick up and play?
It largely turns you loose. There is some fluff. There's a small amount of fluff in the booklet, but it's not very deep.
Yeah.
You probably, if you wanted to do so, let's say you're introducing a friend to it, you could cover a lot of fluff yourself, or the lore, I should say. You could cover the lore yourself. What are Tyranids? Where do they come from? Why are we fighting them? You could certainly explain that away. The booklet doesn't go into much detail about that. It focuses more on just getting you into the game and getting you rolling.
Cool.
One of the key points about these games, all of them, one of the things they all share is that they are cooperative board games. That is to say, today when Mark and I play, we're not going to be playing against each other. We're not opposed to each other. We're not opponents here. We're a team. We're working together to beat the game. The opponents in this case are Tyranids, Xenos scum. And so we are going to tear those guys apart together. We will win together or we will lose together. And that flavor, that style of play is really, really useful for like family time, even some types of friendly encounters. We all know folks that are just not very competitive, that don't want to play a game against each other, but if you do cooperative play, that's a whole different ball game. And all of the Space Marine Adventures share that trait, that they're all cooperative gameplay games. So, starting back in 2018, they introduced the first Space Marine Adventures, Labyrinth of the Necrons. As the name implies, this was Space Marines versus Necrons. So Space Marines would invade a Necron labyrinth, and you would fight your way out, and away you would go. Labyrinth of the Necrons had 2 expansions for it, which basically consisted of some additional Marines that you could use. In that game, you had 5 Marines that came in the box. You would pick 4 of them to work with, to play with, so you would always have 1 spare. And then the expansions consisted of additional Marines. Each Marine in these games has special abilities, some kind of either war gear or ability that is unique to them, makes them special, so they all have a very unique flavor to them. The next entry in the series was Rise of the Orcs in 2020. And that was a completely different game. Had the same name, Space Marine Adventures, but the mechanics of the game was completely different. Whereas the Labyrinth of the Necrons was played on a small rectangular board with squares, the Rise of the Orcs was played on a much larger board, about this big, with hexagons.
I don't think we've played that yet.
We have not played that yet. And in that one, you're playing Space Marine Terminators against a wah of orcs. And so that one's a lot of fun to play, actually. The orcs are just really ramshackle. You know how orcs are. They're very ramshackle, crazy. It's a lot of fun to play.
And are the orcs tokens or actual minis?
In
that one?
In most of these games, your opponents are tokens. Okay. Like in Labyrinth of the Necrons, your figures that you play are miniatures. We'll be looking at and talking about the miniatures in a minute. But your opponents are tokens. And that's the same in Rise of the Orcs. So the orcs, the horde of orcs. And part of the reason for that is economy because it would be very expensive to have that many orcs in the box. There's a lot of orcs in that game, and so they're tokens. That it's also a cooperative game. It's a cooperative game, but just the mechanics are different. But it does share the cooperative gameplay DNA of the whole series. The next entry, the third entry in the series, was a Doomsday Countdown, which is my personal favorite in 2021. And on Doomsday Countdown, it has a couple of unique features. Rather than a board playing on a fixed board, it's made up of tiles. That your game field is made up of tiles, and you build the game field each time. It's unique every single game. So whereas Rise of the Orcs, which just has a single board that you play over and over and over again, it gets kind of tiring after a while to have the same battlefield. The Doomsday Countdown game has tiles that you build out differently every single game. Additionally, in that game, and only in that game, not only are the Marines represented by miniatures, but the opponents, in this case, Doomsday cultists, or Chaos cultists, I should say, are also miniatures.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Very beautiful, very detailed miniatures. Again, we'll be talking about that a little bit more later, but I do have to say, all of these Space Marines Adventures games have beautiful miniatures in them. They're push-fit miniatures, don't require any glue to assemble. I've never glued any of mine. And you can glue them, of course, and they paint up beautifully. My Doomsday Countdown figures are all painted, both the cultists and the Marines.
Oh, cool.
They're absolutely gorgeous. One of these days we'll play that game. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
And that one feels the most like playing a true tabletop battle game. And yet it retains the cooperative gameplay element, which includes solo play. We'll go on to that more later. So that one's really cool. The fourth entry is this one that we're going to be playing today, Tyranid Attack. This is the latest one. The interesting thing about Tyranid Attack is that it is a virtual clone of Labyrinth and the Necrons. It's the same game, whereas the previous three were different mechanics, different games, sharing just the name and the cooperative gameplay element. This one is basically a straight clone of Labyrinth and the Necrons. They just changed the artwork. This time, as the name implies, we're playing Tyranids, Xenos scum, as they all are. All the Xenos are scum, but these especially. And so they took that game system from Labyrinth and the Necrons, and they just changed all the artwork. They changed the opponents, the names, they changed all the fluff, of course, everything. But the mechanics are the same. So, if you own and have played Labyrinth and the Necrons, you've already played this game. Likewise, if you play this game, you're effectively playing Labyrinth of the Necrons. I believe that they did this for a couple reasons. Basically, Labyrinth of the Necrons, having come out in 2018, is now out of print. It's getting harder and harder to find. There might be still a few floating around the channels out there, but it's getting harder to find. Tyranid Attack basically replaces Labyrinth of the Necrons in the lineup. So it's the same game with a new face on it. So that's what we're going to be playing today. So you have those similarities in that it plays the same. The differences, of course, are that since all the artwork has changed, the card backs are different, for instance, so you can't share cards between the games, unfortunately. You're never going to want to mix components from Tyranid Attack and Labyrinth of the Necrons. It just won't work. The card backs are different. The pieces look different. You don't want to do that. So this really is its own whole separate entry. We don't know yet, because this is just dropped, we don't know yet if there's going to be expansions for this one. There were expansions for Labyrinth, so there may be expansions for this one.
Were the expansions for Labyrinth in the same size box, or were they like on the shelf in the store like this? Or?
They were smaller, because you only got a couple cards and a couple figures in the box. They were much smaller. They were about this big versus the size of the main box. In this one, as with the original Labyrinth of the Necrons, you have 5 Space Marines from different chapters in the box with their respective cards, and you're going to play with 4 of them. And then you have a bonus card in this set, or this box, for a Marine named Lieutenant Titus, who is the star of the latest Warhammer 40k video game that's come out. There is another unrelated board game to this one. It's not part of the Space Marine Adventures set, called Space Marine the Board Game. That's literally its name. And the one Marine you get in the box is Lieutenant Titus. You can, if you have that box, that game, and you have that figure, you have the card for him here, and you can use him in this game.
Oh, cool.
Alternatively, of course, you can just proxy him if you'd like. So technically, really, you have 6 Marines in the box. You don't have the actual figure for the 6th one, but you could proxy him, or if you have him separately, you can just bring him in and play with him. So you actually have a choice of 6 Marines in this game variant. So that's Space Marine Adventures. That's just a quick overview, intro to it. There's lots online. GW has a website, of course, which, by the by, really cool. You can get the full rules to each of the games in PDF form at GW's site. Go to GW's site, find Space Marine Adventures, and each of the entries in the series, you can get the rules, the full rules, online in PDF format for free, so you can look them over and learn about it on your own at any time.
That's nice. See if you want to buy it.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit more about where you can get these later at the end. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and set up and play this sucker. We'll catch you on the flip side. Okay, folks, and we are back. We have put out all the components on the table. You see most of what's available in the game right now. We will talk about all of these elements as we roll along. The booklet for the game has spelled out a very precise order for the initial setup of the game. And the very first step involved is to go ahead and pick the game board. There are 3 boards in the box, double-sided, so you pick one of the boards, pick one of the sides, and put it down on the table. This is the one that we chose. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's completely random. You just choose whichever one you like. This is the one that you like. This board represents a space hulk, a derelict spacecraft or space station or other floating flotsam in the depths of space that is infested with Tyranids. So there's your game board. That's step 1. Step 2 is to select an entrance onto this board. There are 4 portals or doorways on these boards. They're located in different places. This particular one happens to be north, south, east, west. But they are in different corners, different places on each of the game boards. And we have decided, since the players get to decide this, we've decided to put the entrance tile on the closest edge to you, the viewers. So that's where our Marines are going to be coming onto the Space Hulk. Next, you go ahead and scramble and place the bulkhead counters. These are the doors, so to speak. And this side with the red means closed. You randomly place these. At the appropriate time, you turn these over to reveal the open doorway. The open doorway is how you're going to escape this portion of the Space Hulk. So without looking at which one is the open one, you kind of just shuffle them and go ahead and put them on the other locations here, entrances here, so that you have your doorways. Or potential doorways. These are currently closed bulkheads. They're treated as walls until opened. Then you place your objective marker, which is known as the console, in this case, on the objective marker square, which is there in the center. The console is where you are going to open the doorways in order to escape this. So the basic fundamental of this game is you're going to enter the Space Hulk, get somebody to the console, perform the action that unlocks the doors. You'll figure out then which one is the open one, and then you escape off. And how much of a victory you get in this game depends on how many of your Marines you get off the board. So now you select your Marines and set their order on the entrance tile. Now, the game box is very nicely set up. You have this region here for cards, and cards here. These are the decks. We'll talk about those a little bit more. A little slot for dice here. You have little slots for the bases for the figures. So you can see the one that we didn't choose. This is Brother Vorn of the Iron Hands. That's the one we're not going to use today. He's the 5th Marine in the box. You only play with 4. We've chosen the other 4 to play with and left this guy home. And notice how he slots nicely there. This box is very well designed. It's a very nicely engineered setup with nice cubbies and slots and everything for all the pieces. Very well thought out. The boards themselves and the game booklet come in this very nice paper sleeve with Space Marine Adventures on it. I thought that was a really cool feature. The first version, Labyrinth and the Necrons, just came in a plain clear poly bag, so that was a nice feature. So we have chosen these 4 Marines. They have their stat cards laid out here. You have Brother Adrix, Sergeant Maximus of the Ultramarines. Brother Adrix is of the Salamanders. You have Brother Lucas of the Space Wolves, and you have Brother Raphael of the Blood Angels, or what we were choosing, and they each have their own color-coded die, which is kind of neat. You have to remember that this is a board game after all, and you see that the Marines are cast in their particular color. This is Brother Adrix, of course. This is Brother Lucas of the Space Wolves. You have Raphael here, and you have good old Sergeant Maximus here in the Ultramarines blue. I chose not to paint these because this is a board game, has a very board game feel to it, and I felt it appropriate to keep that board game feel to the pieces. All of these Space Marine Adventures games have really excellent minis in them, and these are no exception to that. Alright, so we've chosen our 4 Marines, now we're going to set them on the tile. I'm going to pick a very specific order, and I'm going to explain why as I set them off on the board. First of all, I'm going to put Brother Adrix on the first entrance spot there. The reason for that is that in this game, I like to select one of the Marines to be the runner, the one that goes for the objective square so that we can open up the doors. And it helps to put your fastest guy out in the front. Brother Adrix has on his stat card 4 actions, so every activation he can do 4 things. And each of the Marines has a special ability, a special war gear or ability. And his war gear is called Bolt Rifle. Brother Adrix can perform 1 free attack action in each of his turns, but not against a Tyranid. Not against a Tyranid that isn't a square adjacent to him. In other words, he's a ranged attack specialist, but he gets a free attack. So in effect, he has 5 actions, which for a Marine in this game is very fast. 5 actions is a lot of actions for a Marine. So being pretty much our fastest guy, it's good to have him out in front. Our plan is going to be to take him and get him to that square post-haste. Next in the order, we're going to have our Brother Lucas of the Space Wolves, and the reason I'm putting him second on the tile is because he is relatively slow. He only gets 3 actions per turn, per activation, and he doesn't get any free anything. So he's kind of slow, so I want him second on the tile so it gives him a little bit of a head start, relatively speaking, to get onto the board. The other 2 that remain, Brother Raphael and then Sergeant Maximus, I'm not too fussed about which one goes which. We can have Sergeant Maximus at the end here, that's fine, and Brother Raphael right in front of him there. They each have 4 actions, so they're equally fast. It doesn't make much of a difference. As we activate each of these guys, we'll be talking about their special abilities. We already mentioned Brother Adrix's ability. Each of the others has their own unique, specific capabilities, which we'll address as we get to them. Let's set this aside. So we have the exit ramp here. So we have an entrance ramp where they come in. The exit ramp will be placed on the board once we know where to place it. Once the door is open, we'll place that. So we'll set it to the side here. All right. So now that the Marines are set up, it's time to set up the enemy. We are playing against Tyranids in this game, and we're playing level 1. There are 3 levels to this game, represented by the cards, the infestation cards. You'll notice it says level 1 here. We're playing the level 1 deck, which is the easiest. Level 2 is harder, and level 3 is harder still. Damn near impossible, in fact. So on level 1, we only play using the Termagants and the Gene Stealers. There are also Lictors in this game, and ultimately at the end there is a Hive Tyrant. We're not going to use them on this level, thankfully, because they're very tough to kill. So we now populate on each of these squares on the game board is a place, basically a spawning point where enemies drop in. And so the game starts with each of these numbered squares occupied by a Termagant on level 1. So we're going to go ahead and place a token for a Termagant on each of these. So there's already 6 Tyranids inside of this piece of the Space Hulk. All right. Next up, and we're going to put the rest. There's more counters. They go in this cloth bag. So there's more counters for the other Tyranids. They go inside this cloth bag because they are randomly selected and placed as they appear. So we keep those guys out where we can get to them. All right. Next up, we're going to shuffle up and place the infestation deck. The infestation deck in this game is what tells you what the Tyranids do. It's basically the AI of the game. You're basically playing against this deck. This deck is what tells you what they do. So you as the player make your decisions and your moves. The deck is what tells you what the Tyranids do in response. We've already pre-shuffled this. We placed this card is the mission card that goes on top. It's got a lot of fine print on it. I'm going to summarize what it says. It's got a little bit of fluff on here. But basically it says the Space Marines must activate the control console on the objective square to open the bulkhead and escape. We already talked about that. In order to do so, in order to activate the console and open the doors, you must roll a 6.
Okay.
So you roll a die, you use an action, roll a die, you must hit a 6. There are ways to improve that. We'll talk about that if it comes up in the game, but all else being equal, you need to roll 6. So that's already a really tough roll to get these guys to open the doors. The game ends if all the Space Marines have been taken out of action, so if you lose all your Marines, if all the Space Marines have escaped, or, and this is very critical, if you run out of cards in the Infestation deck. So the Infestation deck has a dual purpose here. A, it tells you what the Tyranids are doing, and B, it's a timer. If you run out of Infestation deck cards, the game is over and you're done. Any Marine left on the board is eliminated, and usually that means you lose at that point, because you must get a minimum of 2 Marines off the board to get a draw. No Marines or 1 Marine surviving is a loss. 2 Marines surviving off the board is a draw. 3 Marines off the board is a minor victory, and all 4 Marines surviving is a major victory. That's how it goes, and that's the summary of what this card says. So I'm going to put that down below right there. So with the Infestation deck set, you then set up the activation deck. This is what tells you how you're activating. There are 2 cards for each Marine in this deck, and there are 4 Tyranid cards. They are randomized, and as you turn over each card, that tells you who you're activating and when. It's random, you don't know who's coming next. That leads to a lot of tension in this game because you just never know, and you'll see that as we move along. The deck has already been shuffled and set up. We're ready to go there. Last but not least, you have the special cards. You have a deck of special cards. These cards are special equipment, war gear, things of that nature that you can give to the Marines. And what you do here with this is you draw 2 cards per Marine. So you're going to draw 8 cards here. Now, in this case, this is very interesting. I'm glad it worked out. We did not plan this, by the way. This was, in fact, randomly shuffled, but we got something here that's an important rule to remember. Some of these cards can only be given to a particular Marine. This symbol is the Iron Hand symbol for Sergeant Vorn, who is sitting in the box. We're not using him. So if you draw special cards that are not applicable to the ones that you have, to the Marines that you have, you discard those. In this case, we have 2 of them. We discard those and draw more cards to replace them until you have 8 cards that you can, in fact, use. All right. You'll notice that this card named Son of Guilliman, is a Ultramarines card, and we, in fact, do have the Ultramarine here, so we can use that card, so we keep him. Now, having selected the 8 cards, we now need to assign 1 card per Marine. So we need to look at the items, and there's lots of different things here. We're not going to read off every single one of them. I will point out a couple of interesting ones. Again, it's glorious how this has turned out because there's 2 very important cards here that we actually did manage to draw. We didn't plan it this way, but yet it happened. First of all is a card called a Narthecium. The Narthecium, put simply, is a med kit for Space Marines. This allows you to heal a wound on one of the Space Marines. This is a very, very useful card to have at any level, but especially as you go to the higher levels, level 2 and especially level 3, this card is absolutely bonkers useful. So we're definitely going to be keeping the Narthecium. We're going to be giving him to somebody here. Another card that's very, very useful is one called Blessing of the Omnissiah. That's a really cool card. The fluff is really, really cool. Also, I'll read that one. And this gives you a kind of an idea of what the fluff is like on all of these cards. Space Marines can ask the machine god known as the Omnissiah for aid when trying to use alien technology. Through the blessing of the Omnissiah, they will be able to turn the enemy's machines against them. That's the fluff. The rule is, use this at any time during this Space Marine's turn. Until the end of the turn, if this Space Marine attempts to activate the control console on level 1 or 2, and remember we're playing level 1, they will be successful on a dice roll of 5 or 6. So normally it would take a 6 to open this door, but with this card in hand, you can get it on a 5 or 6. This makes it substantially easier to open that door. So once again, we are definitely going to give this to one of the guys. We pick 1 card per Marine and discard the rest. So since we've already designated Sergeant Adrix as our runner, he is obviously the guy that we're going to give Blessing of the Omnissiah. That one's a no-brainer right there. So we're going to give that to Brother Adrix. The Narthekium, we drew 2 of those, which is really interesting. We could give those to anybody, preferably somebody that's relatively quick, which would leave Maximus or Raphael. And it's so useful that we definitely need to take at least 1. We could potentially take both, but I think at level 1 especially we only really need the 1. So let's maybe give the Narthekium to Brother Raphael, because he's reasonably quick. He's not quite as quick as Adrix, but quick enough. Leaving us then with a few other cards to look at here. And they cover a gamut of things. The Armor of Contempt, for example, basically it's like almost like a protective force field. Your Marine cannot be wounded until the end of the turn. So this is especially useful if your Marine activates early in the turn, like if he's one of the first 1 or 2 activations out of the activation deck. You turn this on, and then for the rest of that whole turn, he can't be hurt. That's really useful. Much more useful on level 2 and 3 than here, so we may or may not use that one. We already talked about the Narthekium. The Son of Guilliman, this can only be given to the Ultramarine. He gains an extra action each at his activation, so he gets 5 activations instead of 4. And then when he attacks, he can get a +1 to his dice roll. So for 1 turn, he can become a real monster. And this card can only be given to him. I notice here that there is a typo on this card. This is hilarious. I only just opened this game recently. I've only owned it for a short time. I've owned Labyrinth of the Necrons for a long time. It says here, add 1 to the dice when Cassius performs an attack action. The Ultramarine in Labyrinth of the Necrons was called Sergeant Cassius. So they lifted the text wholesale and didn't even correct that, which is hilarious. Again, this game is basically a reskin of the original. When they say Cassius on this card, they are obviously referring to Sergeant Maximus here. So it should have said Maximus. This is a situational card. I don't like cards like this because they're highly situational. They may come in handy, they may not. Unlike something like a Narthekium, which is always useful, or Armor of Contempt, which is always useful. I would say, let's give Armor of Contempt, which will protect a Marine from all wounds for an entire turn. Let's give that to the Sergeant. He could really use that. And then finally, this one's pretty cool and very flavorful for Lucas, who's a space wolf. You can basically, this one says, roll a die each time the Space Marine performs a successful attack action. On a 4 or more, that Space Marine can immediately perform a free action. Basically, it can turn him into a buzzsaw, which is a very space wolfy thing. So if he successfully completes an attack, he can immediately get another attack action. If that one's successful, he can get another attack action, and so on and so forth until he's either cleared the board or has failed.
But you can continue rolling and do it more than once?
Until the end of his turn.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's a very useful one for somebody like a Space Wolf. The other cards that were not selected are discarded. Okay, so now with our special cards all dealt out, and well, of course we're going to have the booklet here in case we need to refer to it. We're not likely to need it because the rules are very simple, but in case there's any questions we can always refer to it. So at this point we are ready to play. The game board is set, the cards are shuffled up, everything's good to go. We start with our first activation. So here we go. Round 1. One round is an entire play through the activation deck. So each activation or a turn is one turn. So here we go. Our very first activation here on round 1 is the Necrons. This is the Necrons. The Tyranids. So the Tyranids activate. So what we do here is we turn over the first card of the infestation deck and do whatever it tells us. So in this particular case, This is what I call a drop card. Basically, Tyranids will start to spawn on various locations. In this case, you have a spawn on location 1 and a spawn on location 2. Now, there's a weakness in the way that this board is designed in that the Tyranids cover up the numbers, so you kind of have to hunt down where these are. It so happens that this is spot number 1 up here. We'll just kind of half cover it there so you can see it. And then spot number 2, which should be there. All right. So the rule for spawning Tyranids is this. If the spot is empty, you randomly pull a Tyranid out of the bag and drop him on the spot, and that's it. You just get the 1. If the spot is occupied, as is the case here, they start spreading.
Okay.
So you spread to each one adjacent spot that is not a wall or a bulkhead. So in this case, in spot number 1 here, you can spread this way, and this way, but not this way because this is treated as a wall. It's a spot. Likewise here, you are going to spread this way and this way, but you cannot spread this way, that's a wall, and you cannot spread that way because that's treated as a wall. It's a closed doorway. So we're going to reach into the bag here. We're going to randomly draw out creatures. That's a gene stealer there. That is another termagant there.
Oh, so you do every surrounding space.
Every surrounding space. Another termagant there.
That's a lot of nids.
That's a lot of nids. They can very quickly fill up this board, and we'll talk a little bit more about how the other higher levels are harder because of this very effect. So there you go. So the action is complete, and we discard the card off to the side. Okay, so that's Tyranid activation. We go on to the next activation, which is the Blood Angel, Brother Raphael. So
let's move through your own troops.
You can move through your own troops. You just cannot end your movement on the same square.
Okay.
Only a Tyranid or a Marine can occupy a square. You cannot have both. So you can move him as long as you can wind up in a square that is unoccupied. And you can in this case because you can go 1, 2, 3. He's got 4 activations, so you can go 3. And then on his last activation, he can go ahead and attack this Tyranid.
And that's a melee attack because he's next to it, or it's a melee attack only if he's on it?
There isn't really such a thing as melee attack in this game. Let me read you the ability. Brother Raphael has the ability called Chain Sword. Add 1 to the dice roll made for Brother Raphael when he attacks a Tyranid in a square adjacent to him.
Nice.
That's effectively what we would call close combat in full flavor Warhammer. So yes, he is a close combat specialist. So what he's going to do, actually, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. We should have decided who is going to play who.
Yeah, let's each pick 2.
So go ahead and pick two guys here.
I will do the Salamander Trooper, and I'll do the slower guy way in the back.
Well, actually, he's not slower. He's the Ultramarine, but that's fine. So the Ultramarine and the Salamander. So I will do Raphael, the Blood Angel, and Lucas, the Space Wolf. So what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to go 1 action, 2 actions, 3 actions.
Okay. And
then for my 4th action, I'm going to attack this Tyranid. I get a +1 on this die roll per his ability. So I'm going to take the red die. I'm going to roll this. The Tyranid cards show you what you need to roll to kill them. This is a Termagant. You need a 3. You need to meet or exceed the 3. So I need a 3 or better on this, but I get +1 to this roll per Raphael's
2
ability.
up. You can do it.
So I have 2 up on this basically.
Right.
And I get a 3, which handily wipes out that Tyranid. The Tyranid goes back in the bag. They get recycled and reused.
They do. Okay.
Which is a very Tyranid thing to do.
Yes.
All right, and that is Raphael's activation.
All right,
complete.
First blood.
There we go. Very appropriate for the Blood Angels.
Yes.
Next activation will be Brother Lucas, the Space Wolf.
All right.
He is relatively slow. He only has 3 actions instead of 4 like the other guys.
Okay, he's barely going to get out of there.
1, 2, 3. He's going to have to go ahead and end his movement on square number 6 there.
Okay.
That's a dangerous place to be. Anytime a Space Marine is sitting in a square where a Tyranid would spawn, they take a wound. And the card gets flipped over to the wounded side. And if he gets hit again, he is eliminated from action. So each of these characters basically has 2 wounds.
Question: Can he shuffle through these troops and move to the left or right instead? Could he end up his space here?
No, those are walls. Those are
walls there. Okay.
Those are walls around the edge.
Quite see with the glare. You got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Those are walls. So that is the only place he can move. Otherwise, he'd have to stay put.
Yes.
So Brother Lucas goes to the only place, but I'm just pointing out that it's a dangerous place to be.
He is in danger.
And we got to hope that he gets to activate again before we draw any additional Tyranid activation. So Brother Lucas is done. Let's go ahead and activate again. We get the Blood Angel again. This is interesting.
It is.
I'm going to go ahead and fan him out. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. He has four actions, and his final action is going to be a ranged attack against this guy here. He has a range of 4. Each of these guys has some maximum range.
All right.
Lucas and Maximus have a range of 6. Adrix and Raphael have a range of 4. So rather than a close combat attack, this is going to be a ranged attack. He gets no bonus on that. His ability is only to adjacent squares. So that's going to be a straight, this being a Termagant, I need to beat a straight 3 or higher.
Shoot that bolter.
And I get a 6, which very, very neatly takes out that Termagant.
He is doing his work.
Good day at the office so far for Brother Raphael. Alrighty, next activation. The Salamander.
All right.
So as we had previously discussed, we want this guy to make a run for the
for sure.
For the thing there, and that is a straight shot up the corridor. You can go through Lucas. So that's 1, 2, 3.
There's 3, and then I'm going to need to dispatch this this Tyranid, aren't I?
Exactly. You're going to need to attack the guy in front of him. We already know that Adrix gets a free attack action, but not against a Tyranid that is in a square adjacent to him.
It's too close.
So what I would suggest is this. Let's back it up. 1, 2, 3. He was right there to start with. Use your free attack action first. The Space Marines can shoot through each other. They are combat trained. They are tactically minded. They will get out of the way of each other.
That I did not know.
You can shoot through fellow Marines. So Adrix has a range of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the Tyranid is just in range.
That's a good range on a board this small.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a Termagant, so you need to meet or beat a 3.
All right, Lucas, watch out. I'm taking a shot past you. Got a 4?
Got a 4, which takes out the Tyranid. Now you can use your 4 actions for movement.
Excellent. And I assume rolling to open a door is an action in itself.
Correct. Yeah. Yes, to roll a door is an action.
So he's gotten up to the console at least.
He's nearly on the console. He's one space away from it. He needs to be on the console, but once he's on it, he can use it. He is also in a dangerous place. He's on space 5, so we got to watch out for that. And he's already activated twice this turn. So it's a dangerous place to be. He's in a dangerous spot, but he's a Space Marine. He's used to danger.
This is his first activation. First card we've drawn, anyway. Yeah.
For him. Oh, okay, good. So if that's his first activation, then there's a chance he can move yet before there's a drop on that lookout. All right, so that's Brother Adrix done. Let's go ahead and do the next one. Cool. That will be our Ultramarine Maximus there at the back. Pretty much about all.
I'm not seeing any visible targets, so we're just going to go ahead and use his 4 actions to move, I take it?
Yep, just move him right up onto the board. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 actions, and he's right on the edge of the board.
Sounds good.
Okay, that is a Necron drop. Or, pardon me, I keep saying Necrons. Tyranid drop.
We have to be wary.
We have to be wary. Let's hope this is not on 5 or 6. Okay, this is an interesting card. Rather than a spawn, this is a change to the rules, the way the rules work. It says here on the card, until the end of the next round, so all the way through this round, and then through the entirety of the next round. Remember, a round is an entire set of activation cards.
Yeah.
Until the end of the next round, the resilience of all Termagants, that's these guys, increases to a 4.
Oh, that's
so instead of having to hit a 3, you have to hit a 4. So we're going to put that right next to the Termagant there to remind us of that, so that when we shoot at Termagants, we're needing to meet or beat a 4.
That's rough.
All right. But we get no new spawn, though, which is great for us because we got 2 guys sitting on spawn points.
Standing right in that area.
All right. So here we go. Next activation. That is Brother Lucas again, which gives us a chance to get them the heck out of here.
Moving.
So he's going to move. I think what we're going to do is we're going to fan out a little bit. So I'm going to take Lucas and I'm going to go 1, 2. And then he's got a range of 1, 2, 3. He's got a range of 6. He can shoot at this guy.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of shooting, I just suddenly remembered something about Lucas. We forgot to read Lucas's ability.
His war gear.
His war gear ability. His is very special. His war gear is grenades. After choosing special cards when preparing for battle at the start of every level, Brother Lucas is given 1 extra card. This must be a frag grenade or a crack grenade. So we should have dug through our special deck and found either a crack grenade or a frag grenade. I tend to prefer crack grenades myself. Crack grenades are very powerful, so you can take out high-level creatures, especially something like a hive tyrant.
Destroys a nit on a 2 or higher. That's very good.
That's very powerful. The frag grenade is an area effect weapon, so it allows you to take out multiple enemies. So depending on your style and what you want to do, you may take one or the other. So which kind of grenade do you think we should take for Lucas?
Because the corridors are so tight, I like the 2+ kill.
Nice. So we will issue a crack grenade to Brother Lucas retroactively here, since he hasn't actually shot at anything yet. Now he can go ahead and use that grenade here or just shoot. I think in this case it's a little too early in the game to pop that grenade, so I'm just going to go ahead and shoot at that Termagant there, who is well within range, and I need to beat a 4 instead of a 3 on this, so a 4 or higher. And I get a 1, so Brother Lucas whiffs on that one. And that is 3 activations for him, or 3 actions for him, and he is done.
At least he's safer.
At least he's in a safer place, exactly. Ultramarine, so Maximus is up on
once
deck.
again. Okay, and he has 4 actions. His range is 6 as well. Let's see. I'm going to try to help clear these doorways a little bit. We've got a good melee machine right here. Let's go ahead and... Either way, he's not going to be able to shoot, most likely.
Well, he can shoot up the corridor through Adrix, remember.
Can you shoot here?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can shoot all the way up this
Past
corridor.
the console.
Past the console, even. So maybe you could move him right in behind Adrix. That's 2 actions. And then you still have 2 more to use.
Can you shoot more than once?
Absolutely.
All right, let's move him to take a shot with a range of 6 into that...
This is a Termagant, which is presently at 4.
He's
so let's
a
go
4
ahead
now.
And meet or beat a 4.
And we have a 3, which just
he misses
goes
on
wide,
his first attempt.
or doesn't hurt him. And let's shoot one more time instead of moving backwards. And we got a 3 again, so
Which
these guys are getting a little more resilient.
Yeah, exactly. Normally that would have taken him out, but because the Termagant is presently at a 4, then that was no good.
Okay.
So, just really quick, I want to mention something else also while we're at it. The facing on the Marines doesn't matter. He could be faced completely apart. It doesn't matter. The facing doesn't matter in this game. Sometimes because of the way that things are sticking out, maybe it's more convenient not to have him facing one way or another, but facing doesn't matter. Okay, so that was Maximus done. So next activation is the Salamander here.
All right. I'm going to naturally begin by moving 1. I'm going to attempt, before I try to realize the door, I'm going to attempt to shoot a Tyranid once. Try to get this guy away from me right here.
Okay.
So let's do that.
So that is a Termagant, so you need a 4 or better.
And we have a 6.
With a 6, you very handily take him out.
Without him breathing down my neck, my 3rd action will be to try to realize open a door.
Okay.
How does this work?
Before you make that roll, normally you would just roll a die and open the door on a 6 or better. However, you bear the card Blessing of the Omnissiah.
Right.
You can use this card, use this at any time during this Space Marine's turn, which would be now, you're right in the middle of your turn. Until the end of the turn, if this Space Marine attempts to activate the control console, they will be successful on a 5 or a 6.
Is this a card that gets discarded after I use it?
Normally, yes. All of these cards normally get discarded after use.
So, based on that, one question: when we open a door, does it open one randomly?
It opens them. It opens the door that opens. In other words, it affects all the doors.
It affects all of them. Oh,
so
that's fantastic.
one of them will pop open and you're done. So you only need to make this roll once.
Then let's use this right now.
So we pop the card. You have 2 activations left, which means you have 2 bites at this apple.
Right.
5 or 6.
Or should I wait until the next time I activate later and have potentially 3 or 4 chances, depending on how many NIDs we have in the area?
That's
3 or 4 chances on a better roll.
That's a totally valid thought. If you want to just go ahead and make 2 straight D6 rolls and just hope you get a 6, you can do that as well and just save the card for later.
Let's do that.
All right, so we're going to save the card.
It's early in the game yet.
Right. So let's go ahead and let's see a 6.
We got a 1. And 1 again. All right.
So suddenly Adrix is rolling a little cold here. So
glad I didn't burn that.
Well, yeah, exactly. That card wouldn't have helped had you popped the card. So it's just as well that we saved it. So that is Brother Adrix done for now. Next activation. And it's Tyranids. So let's see what we get. When we get a drop on location number 2.
2.
Which is, I believe, there.
Okay.
So the space is occupied, so you start spreading.
Right.
You can't go horizontally because so one's going to go there and one's going to go there.
Okay. So the NIDs do not stack on top of each other ever.
No,
okay.
they just spread.
Okay.
This basically is how Tyranids move in this game.
Yeah.
It's their equivalent of movement.
They scuttle about.
They scuttle about. Wave after wave. So we're going to draw one here. That's a Gene Stealer. And one here, which is another Termagant.
Okay.
Right there. We are not using the lictors on this level. Lictors require a 5 to kill.
That would not be fun.
That would not be fun at all. All right. Last activation of this turn, or this round, pardon me, is another.
NIDs. I think Maximus may be in trouble.
Possibly. It depends on the kind of drop that we get. So let's see what we get. We get a drop on space number 4. That's over here.
Okay.
So likewise as before, you can't spread this way or this way because those are walls, but you can spread here and here. So we're going to draw 2 random NIDs and drop them on those spaces.
More fodder for Lucas.
More fodder for Lucas. He's loving that. Another Gene Stealer and a Termagant right there. There we go. All right, so we have now completed our first round. It is the end of this round. This card on the Termagant remains in action until the end of this next round. So this stays put for one more full round and then is discarded. We're going to take the activation deck and we're going to shuffle it up.
Sounds good.
So bear with us a moment as I rip through these guys. And there aren't a lot of cards here, so it's not easy to shuffle. There's only about, let's see, 8, 9, 10. There's only a dozen cards total.
Yeah.
The 8 for the Marines and the 4 for the Tyranids.
Now, how many rounds does this average based on the fact that the cards get milled and burned and can run out and you run out of time? So is it, are we
most
looking
games
usually
typically go about 2 or 3 rounds.
2 or 3 rounds?
Sometimes 4.
Okay.
It's not a very long game.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So the activation deck is shuffle. Let's start round 2. And first up is our Salamander.
All right.
Now would be an excellent time to pop that card.
Exactly. The Blessing of the Omnisci is going to happen.
All right. So you need to get a 5 or 6 on this, and you got 4 bites at the apple.
Let's try it. Okay, we have a 2. He's fumbling around with the controllers. He's trying to figure this out. We have a 3 creeping up. He's going to use his third action to try it again. We have a 6.
And he gets a 6.
All right.
Excellent. So he has successfully, with the Blessing of the Omnissiah, which now is discarded, has successfully opened the door. So we turn these counters over, and we figure out which one's the doorway. It so happens to be the one near Lucas over here. So now we place the exit tile on that space. That doorway is clear.
There we go.
And the plan now, the goal now is to get all of our Marines the heck off of this Space Hulk.
Right. And before we do that, he has his 4th action yet.
Yes, he does.
And he is going to either move or try to pop one of these Necrons. How far do the Necrons move?
Tyranids.
Only ever one? When you spawn?
When you spawn, they only go 1 at a time, yes.
Can they attack you when they are adjacent to you, or can they only attack you when they're on the same square as you?
Only when they spread onto you. So if there was a Tyranid there, and there was a drop on 3 or a drop on 1, either one, then it would spread to you, and that's when you would take the hit.
In that case, he's going to back up, and we're going to go this way.
There's a wall there.
I mean, I would either go here or here, right?
Correct, or you could just shoot up the hallway and maybe try to clear some space here so that if there is a spawn, it's contained.
Right.
It's up to you. But remember that being on these spaces is very dangerous. So
yes. Let's go ahead and just take a quick pop shot.
Remember that he has a free shot too, a free action.
He does have a free shot, right?
So he has one action remaining, plus he has his free action. So,
Okay.
Which must be an attack.
Let's do the free action attack first.
Great.
And he needs, I believe, a 4 because
this would be, yes, that's a Termagant, which is presently at a 4.
Got him.
And he handily gets it with a 5.
And we're going to take a risk and get moving.
Excellent. There you go. Very well done. Alrighty then. Next activation is the Tyranids. Let's see what we got coming here.
Right up under me.
We have a drop on number 3. Ooh. That is an auto hit.
Arctic's bravery is causing him some blood.
Which means that we turn the card over to the wounded side. Now, we do have a Narthecium in our possession. Raphael over here does have a Narthecium, but unfortunately, he's kind of across the board and he needs to be adjacent to use it.
I see, yeah.
We're going to try to get Raphael over to you as quick as we can, activations permitting. So let's see what we can pull out of the bag here. Literally. We have our Ultramarine Maximus. So what are we going to do here?
Maximus is going to get moving a bit and do some shooting as well. So that's a wall there, yes?
That's a wall.
He is going to move up 1, and he's going to use his second action to take a shot and try to clear this nid. And he's got Squad Leader Vox during each of Sergeant Maximus's turns. You can turn over and...
That's something that we haven't done yet, and I think it's valid for us to just very briefly look at that. Maximus's ability is that he can kind of tactically foretell what the NIDs are going to be up to.
I see.
Once on each of his turns, on each of his activations, he can look at the top card of the Tyranid deck and tell you what's coming up next. There is going to be another drop coming on 3.
There is.
That's the next one.
Okay.
That now informs us as a team that this is an exceptionally dangerous place for Adrix to be. And he's already been wounded, so
yes, we
need to get Adrix out of there as fast as possible, but we can't do anything about that yet. You're on Maximus's activation.
Right.
Point of order, if I could, Mark. You moved one activation. I would suggest get yourself off of 5.
Yes.
Go 2. And then you still have 2 activations left to blast that guy.
Right, and we've used his prognostication to take a look at what's happening.
So that is a Gene Stealer, and Gene Stealers take a 4 or higher.
Yes. Let's do a shot here. Took him out.
Took him out with a 6, which is a brilliant shot.
And let's see. We know they're spawning here, which is actually going to kill Arctic, isn't it?
It will if he doesn't move him off of there, yeah.
Let's move 1 more here and be brave. And just be moving as quickly as possible.
That's reasonable. That's very reasonable. All right, let's hope this is not a Tyranid. Whew. It's Raphael.
Oh, it is.
Of all people, it's Raphael. Now, Raphael moves reasonably fast. He's got a
speed of 4.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fast, but not fast enough. And as we know, the next drop is going to happen over here. So hopefully he'll be reasonably safe on 5 for now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I wish we could have made 1 more spot, but we're not quite close enough yet. So hopefully he can use the Narthecium on himself or on a Marine adjacent to him. So let's hope that he can reach you in time. Let's see what happens. Brother Lucas.
Okay.
There we go. So he's kind of in a spot because he's kind of slow. So he does have his crack grenade. The use of the crack grenade is a free action. It says here, use this at any time during the Space Marine's turn, which could be the beginning, the end, or the middle. Pick a Tyranid within 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, within 4 squares, and straight line, roll a dice on a 2 or more that Tyranid is destroyed. So he's going to throw his grenade right in front of Maximus's face.
Because Maximus is in his way otherwise.
Essentially. So we're going to throw that, and on a 2 or better, regardless of the resilience, this is a straight 2 or better on the crack grenade.
I like it.
And I get a 6. Look at that, a 6.
Perfect explosion.
Perfect explosion, knocking that guy out. And now he still has his 3 actions to go. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and I'm going to end on 4
right
there.
Towards that door.
Which is right adjacent to the exit tile.
I like it.
There he goes. And the crack grenade is discarded.
And to get to score a Marine, so to speak, you have to get off the exit tile completely.
You have to be off the board completely. All right, here we go.
See what happens.
Fingers crossed.
Done for.
Raphael. Raphael, my buddy
fantastic.
pal. Excellent. This is really going to be cool. Check this out. One action.
Yes.
Free heal with the Narthecium. So we're going to go ahead and turn him back to non-wounded status. Right. Discard the Narthecium, of course.
Jam that syringe in his arm or whatever.
Jammed it right in his... jammed him right in his expletive deleted. So that's one activation, or action, I should say. One action, two, three. And for his fourth active action, he's going to attack this guy that's next to him, and he gets, of course, his bonus with his melee weapon. This is a really cool outcome here.
This worked well.
So I need, effectively, it brings the Termagant back down to a 3.
Back to a 3.
So 3 or better on this. And I only got a 2. All right. Not bad for Raphael, though. Not bad at all. He did pretty good.
Perfectly timed.
He really helped out Adrix there. All right, here we go.
Adrix is going to need it.
So we already know, because of Maximus, that there's going to be a drop there. So we, again, flip that card over to the wounded side. But he lives, which is the important thing. That really worked out all together very well for us.
Maximus' Foresight is a really powerful ability.
It is.
Yeah.
Next activation, Brother Lucas. He gets the heck out of Dodge, which is somewhat... I'm somewhat embarrassed for Lucas because, honestly, this is not a very Space Wolfy thing. 1, 2, 3... But he's under orders from Maximus.
He is.
He's been told to get out of there, so he's out of there. There we go. So far, we've got 1 Marine off the board. You need to get at least 1 more to get a draw.
Yes.
Brother Adrix, I think it's time for him to
move, for sure. Let's first, though, try to clear the path by taking a shot.
We're going to have to clear the path. And remember that he gets that as a free action. Which
so would be fantastic.
That's going to be a 4 or better.
Okay, this is an important one.
An important one.
Carefully aim, and he misses.
Misses, darn it. Okay. But he still has 4 actions.
Yes, so let's use my first action and reposition that shot, and he takes him out this time.
Takes him out.
And we're going to get moving off of the spawning area. 2, 3, and he is still wounded. He's going to wait and not go on.
That's probably for the best. Yes, there's no sense in risking it, especially now that we're so close.
We're making good progress already.
Making good progress, excellent. So, Ultramarine is next. We are going to use his ability to...
Didn't we use that already?
Every turn.
Oh.
It says...
I thought it was this round. I thought this turn we already peaked.
It says during each of Sergeant Maximus's turns. So each time he takes a turn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so basically every time you activate him, he gets to look.
Got it.
The next drop is coming on number 2, which is way over here.
Not as much to worry about.
Not as much to worry about there, and that may give Adrix... I don't know, how many activations has he had so far?
I'm not sure, we'll find out.
I think he's already had 2, so it doesn't really help him this round, but maybe next round.
Yeah.
So now we have to decide what to do with Maximus. He's got four actions.
Do you score when you're here or when you're off the board over here?
Anywhere on the exit tile.
Okay. There are no nids for him to shoot at right now, or else he would start chipping away at that. So he is going to 1, 2, 3, and guarantee us a draw.
Absolutely. Yeah. So at a minimum now, we've gained a draw. That's excellent. Next activation is in fact Tyranids.
Yep.
We already know, due to Maximus, that it's going to come down over here on 2, which means it's going to spread to that one and that one. When you reach a wall, it ends. So if we get another drop on 2 later, it won't spread this way, but it will spread that way.
We have a quarter for bugs.
Yeah. Now, you can well imagine, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but in the higher levels, level 2 and level 3, the drops are more numerous.
Yes.
You get mostly 2s. On level 3, they're almost all 3s.
Oh my
you
gosh.
get 3 drops every single activation, which is crazy. The board can fill, literally within a round, you can have Termagants and Gene Stealers and Lictors everywhere. But this is level 1, which is substantially easier. So here we go. Last activation is Tyranids again. Now this time we don't know what they're going to do because we don't have the foresight. So let's see what happens here. We're going to get a drop on 3 and on 4. Now, because these are empty, that means we just get 1 creature.
Just one.
Just the one on each spot. And so, let's see what we get on 3.
Plenty of actions to clear them out later, hopefully.
There's a Termagant there.
Okay.
And number 4, let's hope it's a Termagant, because that's the easiest.
Yes.
That's a Gene Stealer.
Falls right from the ceiling. All right.
There we go. All right, now, this is the end of the round.
Yep.
This card that's been
Goes
bedeviling
away,
us goes
thankfully.
away finally. So the Gaunts go back down to a 3. We are going to, oh, and of course that gets discarded. We are going to shuffle up.
Shuffle those.
And start our 3rd round, which is going to pretty evidently going to be our last round.
It is
here.
looking well. Yes.
So this is going to be a 3-round game. Alrighty. Here we go for all the marbles.
Yes.
First activation of the 3rd round goes to the Nids. Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what we get. We get a drop on number 6, which is very fortunate because there's nothing out there and we don't care.
Could have been far worse.
Could have been vastly worse. So, I will take
when
it.
do they actually attack us and do wounds?
When they spread onto you.
Right.
That's the mechanism.
And we don't roll for them or anything.
No.
They just do a wound.
They are automatic, but they must roll onto you.
Yes.
So if you get another drop here on 3, for example, that will hit Raphael.
He's got a nid on his back.
He's got a nid right near him. Yes, exactly. Here we go. Next activation is Raphael.
Okay, perfect. Well, almost
This
perfect.
is problematic
It is.
because
It
he
is.
can't occupy the space with Adrix, and he can't go through the nid without killing it first. He's got a nid behind him. I'm afraid, my friend, that you're kind of stuck here. Or actually,
That's yours.
I'm Raphael.
Yeah.
I'm stuck here, really, because I'm kind of blocked by Adrix here.
I see one option for you, considering you have 4 actions the next time the card is pulled. You see what I'm thinking?
Yeah, to go the other way around, that would seem to be...
You can move here and here. Then the next time your card is pulled, maybe these guys have moved up and you can go 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's reasonable. That's
It just
reasonable.
puts you a little closer to danger, that's all.
That's okay. So as Mark has pointed out, I can go 1 activation, 2 activations. Now I can spend my last activations trying to get rid of that guy.
Absolutely.
Just to clear that. And I've got 2 shots at this because I've got two activations left. This is a Gene Stealer, which takes a 4 or better to kill. So.
Tough bugger.
Oh, that's a 1. 4.
Good
Got
job.
4. Nice. All right. That
Shooting
takes
is
out.
not too shabby this game.
Not too shabby for being me. All right, and that'll have to do it for Raphael this time. Kind of a strategic, tactical move there. Hopefully that pans out. Here we go. Next activation is...
Tandem Space Marine Cooperation.
That is Adrix, and he needs to get
Right.
out of here. He needs to go 1, 2, 3.
He's not going to make it.
Unfortunately, he can't make it all the way there, but he can make it into the doorway. That is a space there.
He is going to indeed do that. Take that recommendation there. Pile in, boys.
So maybe next activation he'll be able to scuttle up the...
I hope so.
And out of the way there. All right. Let's see what happens here. That's Brother Lucas.
That is
That's
perfect.
actually pretty nice because that helps to clear the ramp a little bit. 1, 2. Now, you can see now how both on the entry and on the exit, that can get a little congested there.
Yeah.
And you just saw an example of that here where things can kind of bottleneck there.
Right.
That's always tricky. Getting onto the board and getting off the board can sometimes be a little bit of a logjam. So
does he go off the board with his 3rd action or no?
no,
He just moves
you
1,
just
2?
you just need to get onto this tile.
Okay.
That's it. That's the extent of it. So he is as far as he can go right there. That's
Oh,
good,
I see.
Which is great.
Interesting.
But it leaves this space open, so it's more liable that somebody else can get in there behind him. So.
Absolutely.
Next activation is the Ultramarine,
Perfect.
and same thing there. Basically, you just want to move out of the way. There you go. Perfect. Come on, be Adrix. Be Adrix. Be Adrix.
That would be...
Oh. Okay. Well, that's not too bad. Even if we get a drop on 4, that's not going to hurt him.
Right.
So let's see. Oh, we neglected to look at... We're going to look at it now, obviously, but we forgot to check the cards.
We did forget.
We need to remember... In this game, it's really important to remember your special abilities in War
Yes.
Gear. You got to remember that. But we're going to look at the card
We're
anyway.
going to find out one way or the other.
And this is going to be a drop on number 6 over there.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
And this is going to spread 4 ways. That's the worst possible one because that's open, that's open, that's open. So this is going to go 4 ways, which is
Okay.
horrible. But it's far away from us, so
It's
we don't
far
really care
away.
that much.
We'll take
so we'll take it. So Termagant there, and they'll continue right on to that ramp, by the way.
Oh.
Got a Gene Stealer there. We've got a Termagant here. And last but not least, we've got another Gene Stealer here.
So glad we're not going that way.
So glad we're not over there. Yeah. Here we go. Next activation is another Tyranid. Oh, this
could be problematic.
still not awful. Still not awful. There's nobody in immediate danger, so let's see what happens here. This is a drop on number 3, which is here.
Okay.
So that's going to spread this way, and this way.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and populate those. So the console that we just recently vacated gets a Gene Stealer.
Ship is infested.
Termagant over here. And this is interesting. The bag is empty.
Okay.
We have run out of NIDs. When you run out of NIDs, you just don't place them anymore.
Okay.
Which is an interesting situation, because given the mechanics of this game, at this point we don't need to worry about drops anymore. There are no more NIDs to come at us.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry. We have effectively won the game at this point.
Right.
But we will play it out. No spawn here because we are out of Tyranids.
Okay.
If we were playing with the lictors in the bag, there would be more.
There would be more.
But there aren't any now. Space Wolf, he's already done his turn. There's no point in doing anything with him. He's fine.
Right.
Next activation is Tyranids, and as I just explained, there's no more Tyranids to spawn, so no worries there.
Raphael
Next
is safe,
activation
yeah.
is Adrix. Let's get him
Let's just
off the
scoop him
board.
too.
There we go. Excellent. And then hopefully this will be, well, that's Maximus. We can, just for the good of the order, because we forgot to do it before.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see. The next one would be coming on. Oh, instead of a drop, sometimes there are other effects that take place.
Yeah,
and
we
this
have
is
one.
one of those special
Right.
ones. This one's really cool. It's called Shadow in the Warp. The Tyranid Prime floods the Space Hulk with a psionic signature of the Hive Fleet. When faced with such unfathomable horror, even the most courageous freeze in place for several crucial moments.
Ooh.
That's the fluff. The rule is the next Space Marine who has a turn, whether in this round or the next, misses their turn.
Oh my gosh.
But we're looking at the card. We're not activating the card. We're looking at the card by Maximus. That is what the Tyranids would do if the Tyranids activate. Hopefully, we've got
Should
Mr.
be Raphael. If
Should
I
be Raphael.
count carded correctly.
Yep.
Card counted correctly. Let's go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, and 4.
There we go. Now, per the rules on the card, the game ends immediately. The game ends if all of the Space Marines have been taken out of action, or all the Space Marines on the board are on the new stairwell tile, which they are. So at this point, the game ends. The game is over, and well done, thank you. So, since we have all four there, we have won an epic victory.
Yes.
Our chapters will rejoice, our names will ring with resound in the halls of our fathers, and we have won an epic victory in Space Marine Adventures Tyranid Attack.
That is fantastic.
Catch you all on the flip side here in just a moment. Okay, welcome back, guys and gals. So, Mark, what did you think? This is new to you. You've never played this before. I've played it a lot in the form of the Labyrinth of the Necrons, but it is the same game. What did you think, Mark?
I really enjoyed it. The rules are clear. They're pretty precise with how everything works. Seems like the design team thought things through and made it a true board game but Warhammer experience.
Exactly. That's how I feel. This game evidently went through a lot of playtesting because it's really smooth, it's quick, it's straightforward, the rules are very precise and detailed, everything's spelled out for you. It's very hard to get anything wrong. You'll notice that we didn't once crack the booklet. Of course, part of that has to do with my experience with the game, but even without that, I think we probably wouldn't have been referring to the booklet much. It was very straight. The game is very straightforward, very easy to learn. Rules are very simple. We played level 1 here, which is the easiest level. There is level 2, which is harder. There's another deck of cards that you can open that will give you additional ability. You know, it'll give you the harder level. And then there's a level 3 pack. You'll notice this one isn't open yet. This particular copy is new to me. I've had Labyrinth for many years. So if you desire a tougher game, a tougher situation, you can go straight to 2, or you can go straight to 3. So if you're a very experienced player, you don't even mess with level 1 and 2, you just go straight to 3. If perchance, and this isn't likely to happen, if perchance you find that level 3 is too easy, and it won't be, because in level 3, for example, you notice how on this level, level 1, most of your drops are just 1s or 2s at most. There's only a couple 2s in there. They're mostly singletons. On level 3, they're almost all 3s. You get 3 attacks or 3 drops, 3 places. There's only 6 numbered squares on the board. That means half the board gets filled up with Tyranids every time one of those cards gets played. Furthermore, instead of a control panel that you roll a d6 once to open the doors, you have the Hive Tyrant on that space. The Hive Tyrant has 3 wounds, and you need to roll a 6 to take off a wound, which means you have to roll a 6 3 times to take out the Hive Tyrant and then open the door.
Do your bonuses count, such as Raphael's melee?
Things like Raphael's melee, if you have war gear or special cards that give you, like the crack grenade, for example, works perfectly well. But still, there are ways to bring that down, but
super tough.
3 wounds at a 6 each, the Hive Tyrant is insanely difficult. So level 3 is very challenging, but if that's still not enough for you, you have these special cards. There's a pack of additional cards. They come in a sealed separate pack. It says do not open because you're not supposed to open these until you're ready to up the level of the game. And there are extra cards in here for each of the levels. There's cards for level 1, cards for level 2, and cards for level 3 that will make it even more difficult. The effects and the issues that you run into are even more severe. So if level 3 isn't tough enough for you, and I pity you if you think so, you can always crack this open. The copy of this package that I have in my Labyrinth of the Necrons, I've owned that game for probably around 7 years now, 6 or 7 years, and I've never opened that pack yet. Level 3 is plenty tough, believe me. But if it's not tough enough for you, you can always open up this pack.
So I really like that friends and families, if they want to just start from the very beginning, ground level, you really can enjoy the entire process from start to finish, playing multiple games. Maybe the first time you play, you beat it right away, and then maybe level 2 takes 3 times. You get a lot of replayability out of the box for the price.
Yes, exactly. And that's an excellent point. There's a lot of replay value in this game. In addition to the extra cards that you can use, there's also a campaign mode. So you can play level 1, and whatever Marines get off the board on level 1, like we did here, for instance, that becomes the entry tile for the board for level 2.
Oh, cool.
So you issue out some new war gear, some additional special cards, you set up a new board. This becomes the order for the new entry, and you play on to level 2. Whoever survives from that goes on to level 3. Remember the lone Marine that we left in the box? That can be used as a reinforcement. Let's say that in level 2 we lose one of these guys. Like for instance, Adrix is already wounded. Maybe he gets killed in this next level. When we go to level 3, we can reinforce with Brother Vorn, who's still in the box. So there's a campaign. There's rules in the booklet for a campaign mode where you play level 1, then go to level 2, then go to level 3.
That's
that
fantastic.
Ups the challenge.
I like it.
It's amazing. It has a lot of replay value. And because of that fine-tuning of difficulty level, if you're playing with somebody new, as I was playing with Mark here, who's completely new to the game, level 1 was perfectly appropriate as a way to introduce the game. Next time we'd play 2. Or maybe level 3, even if you're feeling spicy. Likewise with anybody that you might introduce to this game, you obviously would start them off at level 1, get the gist of the game, how to play, and then you move on to tougher levels, either using the extra cards to seed level 1 to make it tougher, or go to level 2, and so on and so forth. And someday, if you get really, really good at it, you can try the campaign. I personally have only done the campaign once, and it was brutal. I made it to level 3 with 1 Marine, so I went through all 5 Marines in the box, basically. I made it to level 3 with 1 Marine, and he pretty quickly dropped right after that. So I made it to level 3, but I didn't clear level 3.
Now, did you do that with someone or solo?
So the fun thing about this game is that the way the game mechanics work, you divvy up the miniatures amongst the players. This is a 1 to 4 player game, it's listed, because there are 4 minis. You can play this game solo just as easily as you can play it with 4 players. You simply, as a solo player, just control all the Marines. So this game can be played solo, which means you can practice it to your heart's content by yourself before you introduce somebody to it. So you can have the mechanics down really, really solidly before you introduce somebody to it. or you can just play just for the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay is often typically about 20 to 30 minutes. That's one of the wonderful things about all of the Space Marine Adventures games, but particularly Labyrinth of Necrons and the Tyranids here, is that they're very quick playing games.
Yeah.
3 rounds at the most. Or 3 or 4 rounds, about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes or so. Not bad at all. Not bad at all time-wise. Very, very light time investment.
Absolutely, yeah. Something I would like to mention about co-op games, because I don't play them very often, is there's a criticism of co-op games that isn't necessarily have to be the case. Some people complain that, for example, you're playing the island game where the island is sinking, and they say, oh, well, one person at the table just dominated the game and told everybody what to do. Sure, you can work collaboratively in tandem like we did, and I thought we worked together really well today. But you can also choose, and this is great with kids and everything else, you can play more of an independent co-op where I can't help you, you cannot help me, and if we fail in the game or have a draw, we can talk about afterwards, oh, I should have done this, and you can say, oh yeah, I saw that, but I didn't catch what you were doing here, and that was a good strategy. So they really are more versatile than people think, because you can agree ahead of time, are we going to help each other or are we not?
Right, right. Ultimately, you are playing as a team. Of course, cooperative play means that you're playing as a team.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you always have to be helpful to each other. And if, especially when you're playing with adults, and especially experienced adults, people who have played the game before, you can just each pick a Marine and just go. And you just do your own thing. You don't kibitz with each other, and the game turns out how it turns out.
Just an option, but I like that we collaborated today. That was quite fun.
Especially on entry level folks who are just starting, like somebody that's been introduced to it new. That collaboration at first is really useful. After we've played this a few times, maybe you won't need the help as much, and we'll just turn loose and do our thing, and the game turns out however it does. So
either way, it's good times.
Either way, it's good times. Yeah.
Where can we buy this?
So this game is, in the United States, is most readily available at Target, which is a chain box store called Target in the United States. It would be the equivalent of a Tesco or something, I think, in Britain and elsewhere. Also Barnes & Noble, which is a chain bookstore here in the United States. Roughly running about $40 or so, $40 US. Of course, it's available at Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon for about that price. Yes,
okay.
It is available on Amazon.
So maybe Amazon UK and places like that might get some stock.
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
Good. Yeah.
And then, of course, there's always eBay. You can get anything on eBay. Yeah. But this game is, while it's fairly new, it only dropped a couple months ago, it should be fairly readily available.
Yeah.
And if you have a Target or a Barnes & Noble local to you, you can just walk in the door and grab it. Or if you do not, then you can get it on Amazon or some other online retailer.
Fantastic. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, we really love hearing from you, so it's free to give us a like, it's free to subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you next time with maybe something brand new. Thank you.
Thanks all. See you the next time.